All right, let's move on to have a chat about the Forest and Palace games then. Steve, I know someone that wouldn't agree with this statement, but is Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember where it is. I've taken no interest in the fixture list now, but is it must win?
I mean, it certainly must not lose. I mean, I think you could make a case for if we get a point and we look like there's a direction and a purpose, then fine. You take that and you move on. If you lose, then all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, well, there's actual real world, like immediate decisions that need to be made at this point. And I mean, you look at Forest. I mean, yeah, they were decent enough today by the looks of it. But Chelsea are probably the flakiest of the big sides. We beat them, for example, and we beat them well. And yeah, I think playing them at the City Ground and playing them sort of on your own patch is a completely different proposition. I think they've scored one goal all season away from home. So obviously we know what's coming now on Wednesday night.
You've read my notes, yeah.
But yeah, one goal away from home, which I think was at Everton. I think
it was in August. Draw. Well done, Steve.
And yeah, so their away form is terrible, and as a result, I think you're probably naturally going to see a slightly different Forest team to the one that we've seen today. And as a result, that presents us with opportunities. I mean, their defence is Championship level. I would say, and with our Championship level strike force, that should go nicely up against them. It's a case of, at the end of the day, we've created chances in these games, like all these games going back to sort of pre-Ralph sacking. We were like that. I mean, that Newcastle game still annoys the hell out of me because we battered them for long periods of that game and just missed easy chances. If we can actually just take a couple of these chances, all of a sudden the mood changes and maybe the players get a little bit of confidence, and all of a sudden you see a little bit of a swagger in the game, and everyone wants to get on the ball, as opposed to now where the situation seems to be, the ball's near me, I'd best get rid of it quickly, because I don't want to be the guy that that loses the ball 30 yards from goal when they then pick it up and stick it in the top corner. So yeah, I mean, maybe we get something from that, and all of a sudden the mood changes. That's the optimistic side of me kicking in.
Good. Maybe we should just end it there.
Well, yeah. The slightly more pessimistic side is it all collapses and we're 2-0 down inside 20 minutes and the atmosphere is toxic. And
that's
it's like, well, okay,
yeah.
The board then does genuinely have a decision to make.
Right. I can see not overly optimistic messages and predictions here. Mark saying, my Forest game prediction, bearing in mind they've only got 2 points away from home all season and have only scored one goal. 3-0 win to Forest. Incoming, it's the Southampton way. Senga Tully 1 says 1-1. Matt Bailey says, I think it will be 2-0 Forest win. And the Hoyman says it's very close to must win. Glenn, look, small margins maybe at this time of the season. We're going to have 4 days recovery before that game. Forest have obviously played today. They've got 3 days, but they're coming off a positive result. We're coming off a bad one. So how does Nathan Jones try and get some energy and confidence into these players? Because as we say, I mean, arguably it's a biggest game of the year, 4 days into the year.
Yeah, so he's got 4 days. He had 5 weeks not so long ago and didn't manage it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, Forest will come into it on the back of a great result, and we've come in on the back of that Fulham game. So they will see it as a massive opportunity to sort their away record out. And I fully expect them to be on the front foot and having most of the possession, with us doing what we've been doing the last couple of games and just smashing it out of the park and hoping for the best and trying to keep it tight, which is basically what it's about, as Steve has just said. No one wants to take any risks, but that seems to be the manager's plan anyway, for people at the back not to take risks. There might be 1 or 2 passes, but then it's going to go long. So, I don't know. If we're going to go direct, I'd like us to do it with a bit more purpose. So I know, we were slagging Joe Aribo slightly, or I was anyway, but if we're gonna go direct, then stick him up front with Che. and at least have some physical presence up there, because I can't, off the top of my head, think of anyone else we could stick up there unless we, put a centre half up there or something.
And he played up top for Rangers a bit, I think, even in that European final, didn't he? So,
if we're going to do that, commit to it properly.
Lianco.
Yeah.
Glen would have Lianco everywhere.
I'd rather have him up front than at the back.
Yeah. For all, we're talking. You brought him up for all Lianco's positives and the aggression that he brings. He's a calamity, isn't he? He's just waiting to happen. I mean, just put that penalty that we gave away on his highlight reel, and just look at that, and the Leicester header from last year. He's just accident waiting to happen. And we've got a Croatian international centre half sat on the bench. Yeah. It's mad. So no, I wouldn't put Lianco up front. Midfield maybe, but not up front.
Yeah, Alfie. Just before we do some predictions, then would you change anything in terms of the lineup? I mean, we were chatting off air before we came on about Gavin Bazunu. I mean, certainly he's not the only one, but his confidence looks a little bit low at the moment. Maybe some experience back there, like Caballero, possibly playing in a game like this, or would you stick as you are and just give them a chance to turn it around?
I think if Alex McCarthy was available and ready, I would potentially go for him, but I don't think he is. I think that rolled ankle has kept him out of 2 squads now, hasn't it? So I can't imagine he's going to thrust him back in. At that point, do you put Willie Caballero in over Gavin Bazunu? Maybe. I'm glad that I'd have to make that decision, but I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I think Bazunu is going to be a good goalkeeper, and I'll probably give him this chance. I go with back 4 100%. Go with back 4. A man, hopefully he's fit. Carl Walker-Peters. I still play the 2-3-1 going forward. I think I put Che Adams and maybe Aribo in behind him, where he can sort of get away with not doing too much on the ball, at least off the ball rather. But yeah, I'd have a Dozy, and I'd just try and get some pace on the wings. Maybe El Yunusi on one side, so not too much pace there, but a Dozy and El Yunusi on the side. I mean, El Yunusi gets a lot of stick. I actually don't think that he's. I don't think he's the problem in the team ever, to be honest with you. I think maybe he gives the ball away sometimes. Maybe he disappears slightly, but I think he's the only player that I see, along with Che Adams, getting into areas for the likes of a Dozy to play to. So I would have him and a Dozy playing for Che, Aribo in behind, hoping that the knockdown that inevitably comes from Che tussling with somebody falls to Aribo, and he's the one person in the team who'll score it. And then you have to find a pivot, don't you? You have to find a pivot of Ward-Prowse and somebody else. Is Lavia fit, ready? Do you want to risk him? Do you go Maitland-Niles again? Hopefully not. Do you go Ibrahim Diallo again? You don't want to. So he's got a lot of decisions to make that I don't want to have to make, and I'm glad that I don't.
I can see Dan Woodnut here said, I actually think we will scrape a win versus Forest, so I felt like I need to read out a positive one. And Ellie's saying here, 0-1, miserable game, and Forest snatch a goal in the 50th minute. We never recover, and mentality is destroyed. At least we've got a brilliant state-of-the-art light show. And Glenn, do you know what? Before we got to our predictions, I wanted to make sure we brought that up, because it feels like with Saints Brass and this groundbreaking light show before the game against Forest, that all the entertainment's before kickoff these days.
Yeah, it is. And I care deeply about all that stuff. Yeah, moving on.
Right, come on then. Let's get your prediction, Glenn. What are you going for in the Forest game?
Painfully awful 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Steve, what about you?
Oh God. Jesus. 0-0. Clean sheet.
Clean sheet. Yeah, we take that, wouldn't we? So
build on.
I know, and Alfie, as I said earlier on, I think Jacob was the only one that predicted a Saints win at Fulham. All the rest of us had Fulham to win, which doesn't say a lot, does it? But you and I fuming, of course, because Mitrovic missed that penalty. We both had 3-1 Fulham. So what do you think the Forest score is going to be?
I think Southampton will win 2-1.
We'll take that, Alfie, absolutely. I've got a 2-1 loss here. I just feel like confidence is rock bottom at the moment. We'll make sure that we get Jacobs and Martins, and then I'm sure Martin can update when he's back next week.